Good morning, everyone. This is Jackie Schwab with the Press Pay Lifestyle Inspired podcast. We do interviews with people like Erin here on topics to help our listeners find the resources, tools, and support they need to be their best inspired self. Hi, Erin. How are you today?
Hey, I'm great. How are you doing?
I am doing so well. I live in Wisconsin and it's sunny today. So I'm just like,
I don't even want to know that because I'm looking at a lot of snow outside right
oh,
now.
it snowed like crazy gangbusters. Seriously, I think it went up to my knee. My husband did the snowplow thing though, so I'm like, you're the best. He's a great guy. So I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you for taking time out of. I mean, you're so busy. You're a dentist. You're a mom. You're a writer. You have all this going on. So thank you for spending time with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So you have so many things going on, but I think we're going to probably focus on the writing side of your wonderful life today. Could you tell us about your latest book? I'm really excited to hear about it.
Okay, so my latest book actually started out as a promise to my daughters. Now, this promise actually was it's about 4 years old now. So they were a lot younger when it started. But what happened was I had kind of taken up this passion for writing about 6 years ago, let's say. And the first books that I wrote were in the romantic suspense genre. At the time, my kids were, I have an older daughter who now is 14. She was 10. And then I also have twin daughters that are now 12. So they were 8. And they started loving to read more and write more. And they really wanted to read what mommy wrote. And I even went into their classes and just talked to the classes about being an author, but obviously do not read anything from the book because it's just not appropriate for them. So I promised them that I would write them something that they could read. In my mind, I'm like, okay, it'll be a little short story, something cute, you know. Meanwhile, like 4 years and 100,000 words later, that's about 400 typed pages, I was done. And honestly, it was the greatest experience. Like so it's a middle grade fantasy novel. It's like fantasy, adventure, a journey of personal growth. And so that's what it's about. But then when I was done, I realized it was way too long for one book. So I had written it luckily in 2 parts. So I split it in half. So the first part, BAILEX Volume 1, was released in September. And I'm just final editing stages now of the second. And I'm hoping that's going to be out now. I'm actually saying this out loud now. So maybe this will be my push to get it done.
I'll have to hold you to it.
Before the end of June to have that out.
Ooh, end of June? All right. Well, we're going to make sure. So what we'll have to do is when you'll release this podcast, but maybe we'll have to bring you back and so we can have a nice teaser for the second.
That'll be awesome. That'll be
I'm so excited. So we did chat a little bit before the podcast today, and I told you I made the exact same promise, and literally kind of for the same reasons for my oldest daughter. So I have 4 humans that I made. They're 6, 8, 10, and 14. And my third child is on the autism spectrum, my daughter. And so I've written a few, or I've been in a few anthologies, but I write a lot of nonfiction articles for special needs. Mm-hmm. And my older daughter, I would always take them for walks and just tell them stories because I'm a talker.
Yeah.
And she's like, why wouldn't you write down the dragon story before you forget it? And I was like, I promise. So now I've written it and I've edited it like 3 times and it's still not ready. And she'll be like 45, I think, when I finish it. But same thing, but you're way more driven than I am. I switched tenses in the middle, and that's what happened.
That's the thing. That's hard. That's like, you have to decide. It's interesting. I actually kind of maybe jumping ahead here, but I created a free mini crash course on self-publishing, and just for really anyone who has a passion to write, because I find it so important to have that passion. And a lot of people are like, whenever I talk, like I was just at a book fair at my kids' school this past week, or talking other places to people, I have so many people come up to me after and say, oh, I've always wanted to write a book. Oh, I have this idea, but I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to do. So I'm like, let me put something together so everyone else can, be able to do what they've always wanted. And in the setup, one of the points was, okay, you got to choose your tense. Are you doing past tense? Are you doing present tense? And all those little things that you don't really think about until you start writing. And then you go back and you're like, I'm kind of jumping around here a lot. What's going on?
Yeah, it's literally my my third full-length book that's on a shelf still.
So
But
we got to do something about that.
I know. I have a lovely writing coach. She was the very first person I podcast with. And this one, though, this was like my first fiction. And I read fiction. I read science, sci-fi.
Yeah.
And I always did like this nonfiction kind of thing. And then I did a memoir kind of thing. And then everyone died that was in the memoir. And that felt kind of weird. So, but so much more fun to write about like dragons and people who are half dragon and like magical powers. It's way more fun.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's what I
and
loved about doing the middle grade fantasy stuff versus the romantic suspense is I love that it was like this fantasy thing and I could let my imagination run wild and just kind of create whatever I wanted. So
yeah, I
that's
loved your little teaser. So you sent out a little press kit, which is super cool. And if I murder your character's name, was it Kieran?
Kieran.
Kieran,
Yeah.
12-year-old. And it's such a nice little teaser at the beginning. Like, what if your super amazing gift meant you might lose everything? And I'm like, what's the gift? I need to know the gift.
Good. I'm glad you're thinking that.
So I got like all excited. So that was the first fun part, but you actually did some really neat stuff with, I want to call it is it Wordsmithers program as part of this book. So could you tell us
Yes.
a little bit about that?
So it was kind of all snowballed from the fact that I did this all for my daughters. And what I really loved the most was that how much more they started reading and writing when they saw me doing it, right? And at this day and age, I just find they're always on their devices and doing things and just not, the creativity isn't as much as it maybe used to be, or even when they were younger, like, you know, now they're doing their own thing. And I really wanted to be able to kind of go back and be able to kids see like what's involved in creating a book, because again, I know a lot of kids have stories in their heads. A lot of them are writing them out. And when I've been speaking to the different classrooms, kids have been saying like, oh, like I have this story. They'll run up to me afterwards. It's the cutest thing. They'll run up to me afterwards and tell me all about their story. And I had one kid, I think he was in grade 4, said, can someone in grade 4 write a book? I'm like, of course you can write a book. So I kind of wanted to bring, because it was for them, this book was for the kids. So I wanted to bring them along for the ride and kind of show them what's involved, and also show them that things take time and there's a lot of steps involved. So, you know, don't get discouraged and don't think 1, 2, 3, we're done, like this whole instant gratification thing. So what I did was I created a bunch of different teams. So I had first the beta reader team. So that ended up being, I can't remember how many kids offhand, but they were from ages 9 to 17 across the country, my country being Canada. And
Oh, that's why it's cold by you too, huh?
yes. That is why it is cold by us. We've actually had a pretty good winter, but the last couple of days have been pretty cold.
Yeah, well,
But
where are you in
I'm in
Canada?
Toronto.
Toronto, because I'm like, you know, Canada is really, really big, just like the States are. So I can't really just say.
Yeah, I'm in Toronto.
Okay.
So,
all right. So the kids were reading. You said the first.
yeah. So what I did was like, I had the kids beta read, meaning they became the test readers, because you want your test readers to be the kids, not, oh, here's some adults, what do you think? Because at the end of the day, if there's something that the kids are confused about, then I want to know before it goes out there. I want to make sure that everything that was, you know, in my head got out properly to them. Mm-hmm. So I did it 2 different ways. I had the people that were more kind of local, like I went to my kids' school and I had about maybe 6 kids from grade 7. I had printed that out for them, and then we actually did a focus group after as well for it, which was so awesome. And everyone else I sent off an e-copy for, and I had little questionnaires for them to fill out afterwards that really allowed them to critically think about things, which is, I know, something that they do a lot in school now, critical thinking and critical writing and stuff like that. And their feedback was really amazing. Like, I got to tell you, there are some changes that I made in the book, quite a bit in the first chapter, because I struggled with some areas of just wanting to get that imagery right. And they told me when they were a little confused or they weren't sure, you know, I added in like a little graphic type of thing later on to help describe something. Like, it was really so useful, and I know that they really enjoyed it as well, which made it even better. Yeah. And so I had my beta readers. I also had my release team, which were advanced reviewers, because those are also really important before a book goes out, to give the kids the book to read beforehand, and then they have a review ready for when the book was released, and to talk to their friends about it. And another cool thing I did, which I don't know if I wrote about it in the stuff that I sent you, but I also had a media team, which I had a bunch of people. I also had parents and stuff involved in that too. And it's kind of media literacy. I had 2 different covers of the book. And I had kind of people choose. You were at a bookstore, you were looking online, which one would you gravitate more towards? So I really wanted to get everyone involved in the process, just to see how much is involved and where everything kind of comes from.
Yeah, I love that. I love all of it. I wish I had like some other like really clever thing to say, but I think that's super fun. I know, wow. No, so well, one other thing we had talked about. So I love the book. I love how involved you got everyone, and you have the mini course and like clearly all about the kiddos. But something else we had briefly talked about was like writing isn't the only thing that you do in your very busy life. And, you know, you're a dentist, right? That's kind of
Yeah,
your
yes.
job. So what's important about kind of the idea of being able to be a writer and a dentist that you like to share with the kids?
Well, I've always had this like kind of creative bug in me that I love there. You know what, there's actually this, I have it, I think I might have it up on the website. I know it's for sure in the course that I did.
Mhm.
People, the biggest questions I always get, sorry, I'm digressing here a little bit, but
No.
it will make sense in the end, I promise. One of the biggest questions I always get is from people when they find out I wrote a book is, where do you find the time? Because I have 3 kids, I'm a dentist, a mom, all that kind of stuff. And I never really knew what to say. I always was just like, I don't know, I just do. I just have this like need inside me to be able to create and to do this stuff. And then I was listening to one of Oprah's Super Soul conversations, her podcast, and it was with Brene Brown. And she said, unused creativity is not benign. And I like never have had anything kind of almost just like knock me over, like a sentence like that, because that was it. Like when I don't write for a while, or I feel like I can't get it out, it's like I feel differently inside. And then when I do, it's like this relief almost. And so I re-listened to that part of the podcast so many times. And so with the kids, I wanted to get out that like it's really important to try and find your passion and your creativity. And I mean, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be writing. It can be, you know, it can be dancing. It can be sports. It can be really any music, anything. But the biggest thing also was that you don't always have to follow the same path. Like your journey in, let's say for me in my life, it can go up and down and all around, because I'm a dentist. I was not schooled in creative writing or anything like that, but it was something that I loved and I became passionate about. And so yes, it took me a while to figure it out. And I took, you know, courses and read tons of books, but when there's something that you really love and you want to do, you go for it. I actually have, hold on, I have it here. I'll show you. I have this little saying thing. Oh, I don't know if you can see
Yeah,
it.
I can. It
Can you
says
see it? It says,
imagination.
imagination is the pathway to possibilities. Add in determination and hard work, and you will be unstoppable.
Oh,
So
that's
that's a little
nice.
bookmark I made
I
for
love it. Do you give
book
it to
fair,
the
but
kids?
that's really like the message I want to get across, is that, you know, you can do whatever you want to do. You just have to set your mind to it. And it doesn't matter what your background is or what your past experience is. That's no excuse. You just got to go for it.
Yeah. I think one of the things that came out of it for me when we were talking before was that you can have a passion that's not necessarily the thing that you do to earn a living.
Oh, 100%.
Um, yeah. So like I was a software developer for a really, really long time, and I also like to write. Well, it doesn't mean I can't write. But it also doesn't mean I have to be paid to write. I can literally write because I love the craft of writing.
Exactly.
It also doesn't mean you have to be published, right? I mean, if you've written something that's beautiful or that you just needed to write, it could be a journal and you don't have to publish it either. So I think people get a little sometimes caught up in the wasting time. Like if I'm
Mm-hmm.
right and it's not going to go to publication or it's not going to be this book, then I'm wasting time. But there's no wasting creativity, right? You put
Exactly.
that out into the world and now it's not like you said, like you're not constipated from the lack of sharing that
Exactly.
creativity with the world.
100%. And like in that, just back to that course that I did in the very beginning of it, I talk about like at the end, like just at the end of the first module, I said, okay, like, you know, take out a piece of paper and write down the word why. and like to get people to think about like, why do you want to do this? Because it really matters. And it was interesting because, and I talk a lot with the kids and stuff about failure, and there's no such thing as failure. Failure is when you stop and you give up, right? And so there was this pit mad thing going on. And honestly, if you go to my Twitter, you can see all my little things that I wrote. And basically, for people who don't know what pit mad is, it's a 12-hour, I think it's 12-hour. If I'm wrong, I apologize to everyone. But I think it's like a 12-hour time period when you hashtag pit mad on little, and agents will look for it to try and, get someone interested in your book. And so I did that. I did that for my first two books that I had self-published, but I had taken down because when I did this middle grade one, I didn't want them both up there. So I took that down, and I was trying to do it also for the second one of this book. It's hard also if you've already been self-published, not if you're a self-published author, but if the works have been self-published. So I knew it was a long shot because, my other ones have been down for years, but they were once self-published. And also because I had self-published the first book of BAILEX, I didn't, know how the volume 2 would go type of thing. But either way, I have this, I'm a really big dreamer. And so I'm just like, yes, this is going to work. This is great. And meanwhile, I do my thing. And basically what happens is you wait to get likes on your tweet. And if you do from an agent, then you can, query them and take it from there. Who knows what's going to happen, but it's just a little in to kind of get them to notice you. And I didn't get one like, and I was really upset. And I kind of, gave myself that little day of like being upset about it. And then it was interesting. I was actually working out because I do that sometimes. I try and do it more than sometimes, but I do it when I'm like just trying to get through something, get my mind off of it and work at that energy and then leave it where it belongs. And I realized I'm like, you know what? I was making the course then. I'm like, let me think back to that why. And I'm like, but why am I doing this? Like, and it kind of, I'm doing it also for the kids. I'm doing it because I want to be able to have these beta readers. I want to be able to, and at the end of my book, my acknowledgements, I thank all the kids, first name only, obviously, who helped me. So they can see their name in print and they can see what a contribution they made to the project. And then I'm like, you know what? But if I want to be able to do that, I can't do that. I can't say can't because it's never can't, but I know it would be a lot more difficult. And I don't know how possible it would be to actually be able to do what I want to do with these books if it went the traditional publishing route. And so sometimes, and that's why I talk about in the course thing that I do, is that you really have to write down and connect with why you want to do something, because everyone has different reasons. And sometimes you end up getting caught up in other people's reasons and other people's dreams. And so, you won't see my, my book right now on some crazy bestsellers list. I mean, it got some cool, banners on the first couple of days it was released, but at the same time, that's not what I'm doing it for. Not that I would be like, oh, I don't want that if it happened, but that's not what I'm doing it for. And that's not what I focus my energy on. I don't have a ton of time. So honestly, I don't do a ton of marketing for it. I do a lot more local kind of stuff and getting involved in the community and with the kids. And so I do think it's important to make sure that everyone does, no matter what you're doing, to really connect with that why and not lose sight of that, or else you end up getting lost.
Yeah. So my favorite quote, it's probably backwards, but
yes, I love that.
You fail only if you stop writing. Ray Bradbury is the person that is probably the father of sci-fi, and the reason that I started writing at all, because it gave me, I was like the nerdy kid. It gave me an escape out of being like always the smart and eggheady person to having sort of my own worlds that I could create. And I think I tell all kids that a lot. And the other one is that it's not, failure is just feedback on what didn't work, right? Because how many new things have you done that didn't work? And I think we forget that we're all a beginner at something sometime.
Exactly.
And just come at it with this beginner mindset. Then the fact that you started at all is the accomplishment. And
exactly.
So yeah, I love little humans, and I love seeing people that are going out there and making an effort to, I don't care how we get them reading and off the tablets, whatever it takes. Like, right, let's just do that, because Yeah, my daughter spends an awful lot of time in her room all by herself on her Instagram account.
I know it's kind of scary, actually, the
Yeah,
amount of
my
time.
husband is a wonderfully and appropriately paranoid human. So he has like every single control on that you could ever imagine. And she is not pleased with that. But, you know, we kind of
Imagine.
are. So whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's you know what? That's how it is.
It kind of is, but you know, it turned out fine. So I love that. So okay. Well, we talked about your lovely daughter's promise and the Wordsmithers program, which looks like for book number 2, you're accepting applications for
I
your
am.
first team, the beta readers, right?
Yes, I am. So basically it's for the beta readers, I guess, and the advanced reviewers. I just want to start trying to get those teams ready to go.
Is
And
it
yeah, people.
motivating? I mean, I just wonder, is like when you have days where you want to maybe not, or you just want to be like, screw this crap, you know, is it like, hey, but I've got kids that are waiting to read my book? Is it like kind of a motivator that helps you sometimes?
It is. I mean, I know it's, you know what it is? It's right now, it's a motivator also to like get me moving, like to get me saying, okay, like, I mean, I've been saying I need to do this, I need to do this, but then I don't know, I always end up having these other projects. Like we spoke about the course that I did was supposed to just be a checklist. And then I remember, and then I realized that, well, the checklist isn't really enough because you need a little more information than that. And then, so then it turned into, you know, something that I thought would take me a day to kind of get together to help people out ended up being months of preparation and like video modules. And then I actually also made there's a companion ebook that you can get. It's for free as well. And like it's just so many things come up and then I end up not doing that thing. So I'm like, I'm making the registrations. Let's do the applications. Let's get this going so that I can make sure to be doing what I need to do to get the book to them.
I really love the way that you're breaking it up. So I had one of the best questions I got from the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders the last time I went in and talked to them was about editing, right? So they're like, well, what's the you know, do you like to write? And I was like, well, I love to write. I love to stream of conscious write. And I used to say I hated editing, but I actually started splitting editing up into different things. Like I'll have a timeline edit, a, a past tense, present tense edit, a, just the scenery. Like, did I say it was snowing, but it's 85 degrees out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of. And when I started breaking editing up into a bunch of different phases of like plot and characters, and even like, wow, that person was in the book for 14 seconds. Maybe we should either add them or pull them out.
Yeah.
It made editing more fun because it gave me a way to, other than grammatically editing, it gave
Mm-hmm.
me a way to add some fun into the writing process. So do you get that kind of questions from your kiddos when you're in there, like about writing versus editing and
Yeah,
publishing?
so I was talking to the older kids actually when I did the book fair last week, and we spoke about. I said that writing really has kind of I find 3 stages. So I talked to them first about how revising and editing are totally different things. And when people think of editing, a lot of the times, I mean, if you're looking also when you're looking for an editor, there's so many different types of editor depending on what you're looking for, right? But for kids, I said they think of editing and they I think automatically go to, oh, I got to put the periods in and the capitals and the all that kind of stuff. But I said there's really 3 stages that I find people kind of cycle through, and depending on the kind of writer you are, you're going to do it differently. So there's like the creative stage, which I call like kind of the creative dump, when you set yourself, when you kind of, you know, a lot of authors call it sprinting. You put on the timer and you just go and you just type and type and type, and don't think too hard about it. You don't get lost on the details and you don't worry about the grammar. Sometimes you can even write in something that doesn't even make sense. Kind of just like, okay, yeah, here I want to just talk about this. And then you just keep on going so you don't get stuck. And then you go, you know, whether you do it by scene or chapter or whatever, everyone's different. And then you go back and you do the revising. I'm talking about, what's the revising? Revising is making your writing better, is taking that idea and making it into, like something better, something that you know that your audience is going to connect with more. Is the whole, also I talk to the kids a lot about, because I know they're learning about it in school, about the whole, you know, show don't tell concept. that's when I try and bring that out a little bit more there too. Because if you try and do, and then after that, then you worry more about the grammar and the punctuation and the comma and the quotations and all that. Because if you try and do it all at once, I find you get trapped, and then your creativity gets trapped, and then you're just like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. So I do, like, I try and breaking it into different kind of sections, I think is really important, because they think of the capitalization, all the little grammar rules, but there's so much more involved. And I think the revising part can be really, really fun too, if you separate it from the other part. And what I actually find, I don't know, do you use a writing software when you work, or do you like?
No. So I, well, I'm an old school nerd. So I actually use an Excel sheet to track my, like each chapter, which character showed up, and I
Mhm.
have a world I created. So is it the red or green dragons chapter or the blue dragon?
Yeah.
So they kind of keep that. So I map it out. But I found I was really visual. So I actually started creating per scene a note card
Oh, I
and
love
like
that.
putting a sticker on or putting the main characters' names or what the main scene was, my point, like if I was trying to, and then I
Mhm.
made like a kind of a poster board thing with it.
That's
And
amazing.
that made it easier to pick back up too, because like I'm a busy mom as you are. I have 4 little humans, and I wouldn't maybe write for 2 weeks and then I'd be lost.
And then you're like, where was I? What was I even talking about?
Yeah, or you, I mean, I even forgetting what I wrote because I stream of conscious wrote. I didn't write
Mhm.
like cleaned up writing, and I'd have to go read everything I wrote before I could start, and then I blew my time to do
Yeah.
it. So I have like the spreadsheet for sort of the next phases, but when I'm in more of that creative zone, I like to draw and I like to make pictures. So I bought a bunch of stickers and that were dragons, and so I could put
Oh,
blue
that's,
dragons everywhere and
I love
green where
that.
the green went. Yeah, and it just made it fun.
But you
My
know what
daughter
else?
ate it, but
Yeah, but I think the thing also is that I am such a like proponent of this, is that when you do things by hand versus typing, like I don't know about what your kids are like, but I feel like my kids, everything in school is on their computers now.
yeah.
And so, but when you take pen to paper, your brain works differently, especially your creative mind. And so, like, I'll do that too. I don't map it out as much as you, but I really love that idea. I think I'm going to try that, using like post-it notes and stuff. But like, I usually, before I start a scene or a chapter or something like that, I'll usually kind of do my first little creative dump thing, like by hand. And I have, circles and lines and this and like just going all around, because it just allows you to get in the zone and visualize things. And so I think that's awesome. I love that.
So one tip that my friend Kathy Giorgio, she's one of the first people on the podcast. She's written 11 fiction books,
Wow.
traditionally published. She's a very traditional published fan. But one great idea that she gave that I can't do because my kids literally eat some of my work, was, like taking a string, you have like just a string,
Mhm.
the thicker one though,
Yeah.
say twine. There we go.
Yeah.
Something twine shaped. And then clothespins. And then she would write like her ideas on post notes all day or like index cards. Then she could stick them on with clothespins on the
Mhm.
wire. And then you can move your scenes easier, right?
Oh,
So you
that's
could
so
go
cool.
like, oh wait, that timeline doesn't make sense, or that character's everywhere. But I like that. I did that twice, but the dogs and the children really did ruin it. So then I moved into more of the that sticky board paper, the big
Mhm.
sticky paper, and then I put sticky notes on, and I can roll it up and hide it from the little munchkins. But yeah, I like the tactile, but I'm not a hand writer.
Oh no.
No, which I have a lot of friends that are really into writing. They're hand writers. I'm not sure why. I'm like, I do the planning and the creative stuff, all like artsy, and then I sit and type my brains out. So I don't know. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm kind like I'll do the hand when I'm just getting my ideas out like that, and like I'll jot things down. But once the kind of the creative juices start flowing, I got to type because I can't write fast enough.
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So like, if I'm really into it, my hand is
Oh
15,
yeah, no, I can't do it.
my
Like the
brain's way over
plan,
here.
yes, the planning stages I do more kind of by hand and that kind of stuff. But when it gets to actually like typing things, like really getting the ideas out there, then I got to start typing.
Yeah, the other great advice that I got from a couple author friends of mine is to read your own work out loud.
Love that.
And then if you are really brave, read it out loud and record it. It is amazing hearing it back, what you catch, because we write like kind of academic when we first write, but we don't speak that way. So especially with dialogue, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, no one would ever say that. Like, Jackie, there's no contractions in anything. And you use a lot of, so it's like, that was like one that was really fun. So with the kiddos, like you were doing, you can do like pair ups where you read your writing out loud to your partner.
Awesome idea. Yeah.
So that might be something fun for your beta readers if they're in the same like pod at school or something.
Yeah.
But you didn't ask for my advice, but I think it's fun.
I take advice wherever I can get it.
Well, I think we probably got to wrap it up, even though I want to talk to you forever because you're so fun and interesting. If we're kind of ending up, what would be something you really want to make sure the audience knew, or ways that they can get in touch with you? You've got the current book, do you want them to go there? What would you like them to know?
That'd be awesome. Well, I have a website that has all of the information about the books and the programs and how you can get involved and everything like that. It's www.bit.ly/Erin Everleigh. And the book is available on Amazon and Kobo and Barnes & Noble, kind of all of those places where you buy books. You should find it there.
Yay.
And I also do the signed paperbacks if you're interested from my website. So yeah, but I would really, if anyone listening has any little ones or know any little ones who want to get involved, I would love to have more people involved in the next book as beta readers and advanced reviewers. And I love seeing how excited the kids get and how it gets them doing more things for themselves and kind of just helps motivate them to do their own writing and be more creative.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. And just kind of to wrap up the podcast, the Press Play Inspired podcast is done. We don't charge our interviewers, of course. And I also am not necessarily someone who's getting paid. So if you would like to support us, please go to anchorfm.pressplayLifestyle, and any support would be wonderfully appreciated. Thank you so much. All right, Mary. It was so nice to see you, Erin. I look forward to June. The book's coming out.
Let's do it. I said it, so I have to do it now, right?
Yeah, you did. I'm going to have to put like a little teaser on there to come back and talk to you in June to make sure we get that book out.
Oh, let's do it. That'll be awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks. Have an awesome day.